Hello everybody, my name is Erin and today I'm going to share some interesting things that I found out about South Dakota using data from Data USA. I'll talk about some surprises in the data, a few things that made me go, that's a couple ideas for what the state could also improve on. I'll also talk about the data that looks at population, jobs, income, and education. So to start out, one thing that surprised me is that South Dakota's population actually grew 1% from 2022 to 2023. I usually think of rural states as losing people, so that was very unexpected for me to notice that. Also, another thing that was kind of surprising to me was that the median age is about 37.7 years old, which is pretty young, and the median household income is also around $72,400. I feel like that being $72,000, that's a lot higher than what I and a lot of other people probably expect. So overall, I do think that people seem to be doing better than what I thought. I do think that having that high, such a number, I'm like, wow, that's something that we as college students can take a good thing into our mind as we get older after graduation to know more about and learn more about. Next, I'll be talking about basically the economy, jobs, and education. There were also a few things that made me raise my eyebrows about. For example, the biggest job in the state are in schools, construction, and healthcare. And I didn't see much data about tech or manufacturing jobs. But I do wonder if the data is missing in some of the newer industries. Also, some of the differences between men and women in the workplaces seem bigger than what I expected. That's also something that I'd like to learn more about as well. Here's kind of just a graph. It kind of sums up my whole project, but I figured putting it into this slide is what fits most into it. Kind of talks about, at the end, my recommendations for the state, more information about the state, employment in the state with education, jobs, and obviously healthcare. So yeah, and then lastly, I'd like to talk about some suggestions that I have for the state government in South Dakota. I'm from Wyoming, so in either of those places, I'm sure they're closer to the same. So as I look closer into the jobs and education, schools, and constructions, and the hospitals are the biggest employers, that means there are a lot of stable jobs, but they might not pay as much as technicians or engineering jobs. Since about 12,500 degrees were awarded in 2023, mostly in nursing, business, and psychology. That's good for healthcare and business, but it also seems like there are many people that are getting degrees in tech or engineering that aren't getting degrees in those fields. So there are many opportunities for the state to grow in those kind of areas, to be able to get more people to get a degree in kind of engineering. It is a harder kind of major to get, but based on all of this information that I gathered today, I'd suggest South Dakota and possibly even Wyoming to invest more in technology and workforce training programs to help people get higher paying jobs. I'd also expand access to higher education so local students can stay in the state and take advantage of opportunities. Finally, focusing on the fair pay and diversity in the workplace, which could help make sure everyone's benefits from the state's growth. Overall, South Dakota, I believe, is doing pretty good, but there's always some more room to grow and more room to improve. So there's that. Thank you for watching.